Welcome back, everyone, to Global War 1914, Operation Albatross. This is the summer of 1917 for Austria-Hungary. And for our purchases, we're going to buy 2 artillery for 10. We're going to upgrade a militia in Bohemia to an infantry for 2. And then purchase 3 infantry for 9. And we also have a free diplomacy roll for taking over Western Ukraine. And we're going to go for Romania, try to get them to stage 2. Now, speaking of Western Ukraine, when Germany conducted the Russian Revolution roll, I believe I said that we needed a 12 to trigger the Russian collapse. Well, it would have been successful at an 11 or a 12. And the reason for that is Western Ukraine is worth 1 IPP. So that negates the territory that Russia has in East Prussia. So Russia would get +1 to its roll for having East Prussia and -1 to its roll for having Western Ukraine. So they kind of negate each other, and the only modifier to the roll would be the -1 to the Russian collapse for us being 1 turn into rolling for the Russian collapse. So an 11 or 12 would have triggered it. So that's really the only correction so far that I've seen in this season. And so next turn, if the map stays the way that it is, when we go to roll for the Russian collapse, a 10 or higher would succeed in achieving that. Okay, for technology, we are going to go for poison gas and try to finish that off. We need a 6 or higher, and this would give us mustard gas. And we succeed with a 7. All right. All right, for attacks, for combat moves, we are going to put a seaplane here in Constantinople on map and go after one of these Italian coastal subs. And then I thought long and hard about some moves here in the Ukraine. So what I've decided, there's a lot of options that we have here. We can, of course, attack straight into Kyiv, which I don't like our odds in that situation. We could also combine our forces here and go after Grando province, but I don't really know what we achieve by doing that other than maybe down the road relieve the Germans here on the Eastern Front a little bit, but it doesn't really give them any relief immediately. We would have to attack into Congress of Poland to really help the Germans out, at least in the short term. And of course, we don't really have the forces in Galicia to really do that. So I was thinking maybe what the best idea would be is to send in a couple of infantry and an artillery into eastern Ukraine, and then also a couple of infantry and an artillery into southern Ukraine. That way we at least apply some pressure on the Russians and force their hand with these units here in Kyiv, and kind of see how they respond to that. So that's assuming that our attacks are going to be successful. But I don't want to send too much into eastern Ukraine or southern Ukraine, because we still need to defend these 2 positions, especially Galicia. Galicia for us is extremely strategically important. So I think in the non-combat phase, I'm probably going to move this grenadier back. We want to hold Western Ukraine because it is worth a victory objective, but Galicia is far more strategically important for us. All right, so let's roll. We'll start with the seaplane here, and we need a 3 or less to be successful there. Oh, nice, and we do sink an Italian coastal sub. Now I kind of, looking in hindsight, I kind of wish I had rolled for my diplomacy roll for that instead, but I guess technically you are supposed to roll diplomacy before you do your combat. All right, let's get the diplomacy out of the way and see how we do there. Romania is the country that we're going for. They're at stage 1, and we need a 3 or less. And we miss. All right. Kind of jinxed myself there by rolling for the seaplane first. Okay. We're going to send 2 infantry and an artillery in from western Ukraine into eastern Ukraine. He has 1 infantry defending. So we have an artillery first strike at a 4 or less. And that's a miss. And then we have 2 infantry, 1 infantry at a 2. That's a miss. 1 infantry at a 3. And that is cocked. I'm going to roll that again. And that's a miss. And then he's got an infantry defending at a 4. All right, all misses all across the board. Let's go for another round. So we've got an infantry at a 2. That's a miss. Infantry at a 3. There's our hit. And then here's his defense at a 4. And he gets a hit. Dang it. All right. So I will lose an infantry. He will lose his infantry. But we do take eastern Ukraine. And I'm just going to get the board adjusted based on that. All right, so we have 1 infantry, 1 artillery left in eastern Ukraine. And as it stands right now, we would gain another free diplomacy roll next turn. All right, let's roll for southern Ukraine. Same situation. We have an artillery first strike at a 4. There's no terrain. Yeah, no rivers or anything like that. And that's more on a 3 than anything else. So we will count that, and we take southern Ukraine. All right, so there's 2 infantry and an artillery in southern Ukraine. Southern Ukraine is also not worth any IPP, so no adjustments to the board are needed. And this is what the Ukraine looks like now. Okay. We do have defense in depth, so we have 4 infantry, and that's the minimum requirement for entrenchment. Technically, these guys aren't entrenched in Galicia, but that's going to change because we are going to add an infantry there. All right, let's go to... we do have 1 more combat move, and that's attrition attacks here from Austria into northern Italy. So Italy does not have counter battery fire. So we'll get 3 shots at a 1 for our 3 artillery. And they all miss, all high numbers. All right. So for non-combat, we're going to take 2 artillery from Bohemia and put them into Galicia. And 1 grenadier will come back from Western Ukraine into Galicia. Okay, let's place some units. Oh, I'm going to send a fighter from Vienna down to Austria. Or do I want to send him to Galicia? No, we'll send him to Austria. We're going to place 2 artillery into Bohemia. Our militia that's in Bohemia will get upgraded to an infantry. One infantry is going to go down into Galicia. And then 2 infantry are going to go into Austria, bringing our total there to 6. All right, now we can collect some income. So our base is 15, and we'll get to roll to see how much we add to that. Six. All right, so 21, and we will have 21 in the bank for next turn, and that will do it for Austria-Hungary. Next up will be France. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, take care. Bye for now.